Hey, what's up you guys? This is Junior Trader and in this video we are taking a look at everything about Nvidia and Nvidia's earnings that happened today. We'll go over a lot of information. They beat the earnings, but price is still falling. I'll take you over a lot of the data. Well, we'll go into the earnings details as well and the guidance call and everything, and I'll provide my opinion, and also a little bit will touch base on the technicals as well. Anyways, if you have been a member on my Patreon, you are already aware about all these things on Nvidia's price action being a regular coverage. Definitely, if you're interested to be a member, check out the details in the description of this video. There are Patreon links. Check out all the details of the memberships, what I offer. It's all written over there. So, without wasting any time, I want to also let you know none of this is any financial advice, only for education purposes, just sharing my opinion. Please do your own thing. All right. Now, Nvidia beat the earnings. I'm on the hourly interval here on the chart, just so you know. Nvidia beat the earnings, but price is falling. Now, my take is that, well, this is always what I say. I'm a technical trader, and I always suggest no, there is no correlation through the earnings. Guidance also came out really nice. They are projecting 54 billion. We'll get into all of those details as we go through in this video. I have gone through the whole report, highlighted important points for you. We'll discuss those in this video. And then at the end, I'll just a little bit talk about technicals as well here on the price action on Nvidia. So we let's get to that right away. Now, they delivered revenue of 46.7 billion, that is 6% up from Q1 and up 56% from a year ago. And definitely they have the details of data center revenue as well, 41 billion and all, like up and all, year over year. Let's get to some precise details here. And this is pretty much the first statement update that I just mentioned. Second quarter ended 27th July 2025, and that is a $46.7 billion revenue. The important points being there were no Hash 20 sales to China based customers in the second quarter. Despite that, they did beat their expectations. Nvidia benefited from a $180 million release of previously reserved Hash 20 inventory from approximately 650 million in unrestricted Hash 20 sales to a customer outside of China. So there were, yeah, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory statement. Let's get to their gross margins. This point is important as well, as we'll get to their future outlook. Is margins were GAAP and non-GAAP 72.4% and 72.7% respectively, and definitely excluding the $180 million release. All right. For the quarter, the GAAP and non-GAAP earnings per diluted share were $1.08 and 1.05 respectively. During the first half of fiscal 2026, Nvidia returned $24.3 billion to shareholders in the form of shares repurchase and cash dividends. Now, this is where it gets interesting because they were doing their cash buyback. And what I always say, well, also, if you have seen my some CI video, I talked to you guys that their outstanding shares are increasing on SMCI, which I see a red flag because they are raising capital but diluting the current stakeholders. Nvidia, on the other hand, did their buyback. They started their buyback a year or so ago. I'll show you the data in just a second. And they have already returned to 24.3 billion back to the shareholders. And you can see that through the price of Nvidia. Let's get to the daily interval real quick. The price has been substantial rise, right? Like it's, and Nvidia has done these buybacks even in 2022. And as I'm talking about that, let me show you some data here. So you can see the outstanding shares from mid of 2022 have gone down, and this is a very interesting thing to see, that if a company's outstanding shares in the market, the public float is decreasing, that means pretty much they are buying back the shares. And in a form, it's returning the money back to the shareholders, because buying back is pretty much putting money back into the uh, in various forms, right? It's the buying back, which is buying from the shareholders, right? It's a public, which also helps the stock price to go up, and for any holders, they can even sell it at a higher price. But not just that, it also reduces the float, thus adding less shares out there makes higher value of the existing shares. So as stakeholders, you are beneficiary, right? So, anyways, this is what I really like to see, that and constantly since 2022, their overall direction of the shares outstanding on Nvidia has been to the on the downside, which is a very good sign, right? Now, as I'm talking about it, there is another good news that as of the end of second quarter, the company had $14.7 billion remaining under its share repurchase authorization. So there is more money that Nvidia is going to throw into their shares stock buyback. Not just that, on August 26, 2025, just as of yesterday, the board of directors approved an additional $60 billion to the company's share repurchase authorization without expiration. So definitely, it's more becoming like an Apple. Apple does this quite a lot, their share repurchase, and this also helps to maintain a stock price. So definitely, in the long term, you gotta stay bullish on Nvidia. We'll take a look at the technicals real quick at the end of this video, but because we are seeing some sell-off in the post market, but I'll talk about that at the end of this video. Now, so that's a really good sign for the shareholders eventually, that a company is determined to maintain their share value, their stock price value. All right. And then Nvidia will pay its quarterly next dividends, cash of 0.01. I don't know how much it matters, but it's very minuscule. But hey, it's just something, in the dividends as well. I'm not going to go through this balance sheet or summary here. I'm just going to go over, some important items. As per their revenue is expected for fiscal 2026 third quarter is expected to be 54 billion, definitely plus or minus 2%. And the company has not assumed any H 20 shipments to China in the outlook. So now, since we are on this point, let me show you another statement here. Nvidia could ship 2 billion to 5 billion of H 20 in third quarter if geopolitical issues subside, CFO says. So this 2 to 5 billion is not accounted yet in their 54 billion. All right, so if that happens, even if a 15% Trump administration takes from China sales, which as per the CFO statement, US government hasn't yet written it down with Nvidia to give it 15% of China sales. So that hasn't been put down on papers yet. But just saying, 15% still of just China sales will still add on there. Where did that go? Here we go. Will still add on to their 54 billion. So definitely it's a very high expectation already. They raised it from 40s. They already beat at 46, and now they're going all the way to 54 billion. Price is still falling, but we'll get to that. As I say, always there is no correlation with the earnings and the stock price, but also I'll talk about the technicals at the end of this video. Now, GAAP and non-GAAP margins are expected to be 73.3% and 73.5% respectively, which is at par with just what happened this time as well. Up here you can see for this time as well, 72.4 to 72.7%. So which shows us that they are not, it's all about increasing their revenue at this point and more sales. There's everything else, operating expenses and everything that goes into the development of all their operations or their products is very well managed. They are not real. There is no skew. There is no skewness in any trajectory. It's a very balanced business, is what pretty much is what outlined here. It's at par with what it has been so far as well in their percent form of the gross margins. These are the highlights that I wanted to go over on the Nvidia's earnings, their guidance, how outlook is looking like, a lot of important information, high level important information. Definitely I can go in these details as well: operating expense, income, how they're looking like, gap, non-gap, it doesn't matter. These are the important ones, the top numbers, the bottom line, those are, and also shares buyback and outstanding shares that I wanted to show you, and some, headlines here as well, right? But this was the most important summary. Now I want to take you over a little bit high level technicals here real quick. Now, Nvidia definitely is very high in the price section, and most of this is priced in most likely as well, for what Nvidia was expected to deliver. Now, technically, Nvidia in the price action overall structure is not bearish. However, let's get to the hourly interval. On the multi-day side, the structure is broken. We are on the multi-day in the downtrend. Overall, not bearish, but we are in the pullback in that form, which is multi-day we are bearish. I teach my members all of this, how to trade, how to read the price action. Check out the details on my Patreon. Links are in the description of this video. Anyhow, gonna keep it very simple. Below this zone of 170, pretty much $180 zone, any rebound until then is gonna still be just a rebound right now. 180 below, unfortunately, we will remain in the weakness right now. If in coming days it stabilizes, definitely I'll be talking to the members daily on Patreon that I do many stocks, not just Nvidia. I'll talk there as for the updates. But as for right now, below 180, unfortunately, we are in the multi-day weakness. If it has to recover, we have to get above 180. And overall, we are not bearish yet, so far, but multi-day weakness can turn into overall bearishness. Anyways, we'll see if when that happens. As I said, daily updates I provide to the members on my Patreon. That's all I had for you guys in this video. Hope you found it helpful and valuable. If you did, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next videos. Take care. Bye.